Welcome into Duval Daily, presented by GenJag.com. I'm Jordan Lugo. Thanks so much for tuning in here on Tuesday, February 27th. The combine on-field work is kicking off in just a couple days. Really fired up for it. Look, this is a time to verify, to cross-check what you have seen on tape. Make no mistake about it, though. There are prospects that will make and lose money here in Indianapolis at the combine in 2024. You've got meetings, team meetings, right? That can tell teams what they think about a guy. Medicals, if anything pops up there, that can be an issue for players. On-field work can also show what you look like compared to the rest of the guys in this class on the field. And then obviously the testing times are going to be a critical factor as well. We looked at a whole bunch of wide receivers yesterday that will be at the combine who could make sense for the Jaguars, right? The Jaguars have a lot of potential change at the wide receiver position this year. They could also pretty much keep it status quo. We'll see how it plays out. But today we are looking at offensive linemen, how they might perform, some guys that might make sense for the Jaguars. Why are we doing that? The Jags have need right now. They have needs at center and left guard. Like, they do not have quality starters there, right? Ezra Cleveland was your starting left guard. He is a free agent. Your starting center last year, a guy you drafted a couple years ago, Luke Fortner, he has not been performing at a high enough level, so you have needs along the interior. You also have two cut candidates, veteran cut candidates on this roster. Cam Robinson would save the team $17 million, over $17 million, if they decide to move on from him at left tackle. And then Brandon Sheriff, he saves the team over $9 million if they decide to move on from him at left guard. I have said this before, I'll say it again. I would prefer restructuring or extending both because they both do the most important thing, and that's protecting the quarterback at a very high level, in my opinion. And in this offense, which is a pass-first offense, I think that's what you need more than you need run blocking. Obviously, you want to get the run game going more in 2024, but I still think the name of the game is protecting Trevor Lawrence. So if you extend those two guys, you save money this year. You push for that championship ring. You've got two good guys that can protect Trevor Lawrence, but you could certainly make a valid argument to move on from Cam Robinson, roll with Anton Harrison and Walker Little as your starters at tackle, right? You could also argue that you could find similar production to Brandon Sheriff cheaper in the draft, maybe in free agency. My biggest argument, again, is pass protection. Cam Robinson, by the numbers, was a top 7 pass protecting left tackle last year. He has been for the last couple years. Brandon Sheriff was a top 5 guard in pass pro last year. So these are two guys, again, that can protect the investment. Still, a lot of potential for change along the offensive front for the Jaguars. Again, even if they keep Cam Robinson and Brandon Sheriff, you have two needs along the interior that are crucial needs right now. And you have two expiring contracts at tackle after the 2024 season with Cam Robinson and Walker Little. So there's plenty of reasons to be looking at these tackles, right? We're going to take a look at some interior offensive line guys, some tackles, some guys who can play tackle or guard potentially for you. We're going to do it right here. If you enjoy the content, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. You can also check out genjag.com/shop, pick up some new Duval gear. We have got our sale going on right now, hat sale today only. Pick up a hat 40% off at genjag.com/shop with code Duval. That's DUUUVAL, 3 U's there. Again, genjag.com/shop. Let's dive into it here. I've talked about him before on the channel, talked about him a lot over on Rogue Football as well. Amarius Mims, he is fully healthy. I think he's going to steal the show at the combine. 6'7", listed at Georgia, over 330 pounds, great length, great athleticism, tremendous strength throughout his frame. He is bulky, built to the max. I actually think, like, if he falls to 17, I think bulky would be sprinting to the podium, right? Trying to get that card in. Would not be surprised one bit if he's the pick. I actually think he could play anywhere on the offensive line except for center. I think he's just too tall for that. But he has the flexibility, the bend, and power certainly to play guard, in my opinion. Even though he's 6'7", I think he could play either side of the line at tackle. J.C. Latham, he is another freak show at tackle. Played at Alabama, played mostly right tackle there, a little bit of guard as a true freshman. This is a very young prospect. Because he played, though, at 360 in 2023, I want to see how much he weighs in at. Where is he trying to play at the next level? What are his advisors telling him? but I got to imagine he'll play lighter than 360. How much does he weigh in at? And what does he look like out there? I think that he's a very good athlete. He looked like he carried the weight well, right? He looked like he moved well at 360. Obviously, you get him down to what he was playing at before, which I believe was about 330. How does he look out there? How does he perform? I think, can play guard for you. Mostly played right tackle at Alabama, though. So we'll see how it looks for J.C. Latham out there, certainly. A guy that I think is really intriguing. Some folks kind of have him towards the top 10 in this class, thinking he is potentially, offensive tackle 3. Some people have him more towards the end of the first round. I think if he goes out there and performs and has the length and the testing numbers that Trent Baalke certainly could potentially be in on him at 17 overall. Troy Fautanu is a really interesting one. Doesn't have the typical build for an offensive tackle, certainly not a bulky built offensive tackle, but he is rumored to have 34-inch arms despite being only about 6'3", 6'4". That would be really impressive from a length standpoint, proportional length, excuse me. He is a great athlete on tape. Like his ability to mirror movements, to get out in space and run, and just displaying quick feet. And he also has, some of the best hands in the class, super aggressive. He has the snatch trap down like nobody else does in this class. Does he blow up the combine with his movements? I think that'll be really interesting to see. Got to mention Tyler Guyton. We've talked about him on the channel here before as well. Trent Baalke's going to love him. He is 6'6", 6'7", over 330 pounds, has very good length, very good athleticism. I personally have a second round grade on him because he is a bit of a project still, even though he is going to be more physically dominant than pretty much anyone he goes against, even at the NFL level. He does not have the hand usage. He does not have the pass sets. He does not have the ability to block in space in the running game right now, in my opinion, to really pick up on assignments and pick up on games that defenses are trying to play against him. So he's going to be a guy that needs to develop quickly, but has all the physical traits you could ask for. I have a hard time seeing him make it out of the top 25. So I think that he is going to be a first round pick. I think that Trent Baalke might be the guy that makes that pick. I really do. Those are the first round types at tackle. Kieran Amagaji is a really interesting one out of Yale. He is huge. He's very athletic, long arms. To me, I like him more than a Tyler Guyton. He is very bulky built, played left tackle this year, got injured, so he wasn't able to go to the Senior Bowl, but he's supposed to be at the Combine. He's also played guard as well. I think Kieran Amagaji out of Yale is definitely someone to keep an eye on. A couple guys that could be available after that. Dominic Pooney, he could play anywhere. Center, guard, tackle. He did it all. He played guard and tackle at Kansas, played some center at the Senior Bowl. I think he looked really good in all those capacities. I just love him. He's in my top 35 right now, but I think most people have him more midday 2. I would think that would be a home run for the Jaguars if they could get him in the second round. He has the length that Trent Baalke is going to require. I think he will test fairly well. See how that plays out for Dominic Pooney out of Kansas. Delmar Glaze, another guy. I really like his length. I think he moves well. I think that he has really good skills in pass protection. I want to see him out there with the rest of these guys. Does he look like a good athlete? Does he look like he stands out? I have a second round grade on him, though. He's mostly viewed as like an early day 3 type of guy. I'm a bit higher on him than most. I want to see him prove it for me out there at the Combine. Along the interior, at center, which is the Jaguars' biggest need right now, is center. I think there's no question about that. If you improve the center play for the Jaguars in 2023, I think they're a playoff team. I think that offense runs at a much more efficient rate if they had a competent center. And that's frustrating. It is. But moving into 2024, you've got some tremendous options at the top of the draft at center. Jackson Powers-Johnson, my man, I want to see him run the 40, right? I want to see him do everything. He's 330 pounds. He is a unit out there. I think he's going to run well, though. I think he's going to do the 40-yard dash. I think he's going to look like a good athlete. He's a blue-chip player for me, despite not having elite arm length. Zach Frazier, if he's able to fully participate here in Indianapolis at the Combine, that would be pretty wild. Broken leg at the end of the year for the West Virginia Mountaineers. Went to the Senior Bowl, participated in some individual stuff, met with teams, all that. I think in this system, the Jaguars offensive system, both of these guys, Zach Frazier and Jackson Powers Johnson could play guard if need be, but they are primarily centers. And so I think that they're perfect fits for the Jaguars. If you wanted to go center early in this draft, Jackson Powers Johnson and Zach Frazier make a lot of sense. And now, we always talk about not wanting to reach for need, and center's not a high value position. To me, it should be. I mean, when you watch football, center is one of the most important positions in football, in my opinion. He snaps the ball to the quarterback. He's the first line of defense on the interior for the quarterback, and he's a guy that oftentimes is calling out signals and communicating with the rest of that offensive line, making sure everyone's lined up properly. So to me, center is vitally important. It should be paid more. And these two guys, Zach Frazier and Jackson Powers Johnson, are absolutely first round picks in my opinion. Now, the only reason I don't have Graham Barton in the first round is because he has been playing tackle the last few years. I haven't really seen him play guard. He did play center a little bit at Duke as a freshman. So it's a little bit more projection in terms of moving him inside to guard or center. But for me, Graham Barton is probably just behind those guys, a tick behind them. Could be even better than them, but you're projecting inside more than you are with those guys because you've seen those guys do it on tape so much, Zach Frazier and Jackson Powers Johnson. But I think Graham Barton could play center or guard at a very high level. I think that he probably is a borderline first-round talent and a guy that I think will blow up the combine. I think all three of those guys, Jackson Powers Johnson is the biggest, again, over 330 pounds. But I think all three of those guys, if they go out there, they're going to look like really good athletes and they're going to kind of steal the show for that interior offensive line. And then Christian Haynes, just wanted to mention him. I've talked about him a lot, obviously, out of UConn. I hope he performs well. He is so awesome at guard. Struggled a little bit at center at the Senior Bowl. Didn't do any center work at UConn, so a guy that maybe could develop at center, but definitely an awesome guard for you who has great length. He's mean, he's physical, he's going to be able to get out in space and move at a high level. I just hope he performs well. People start really recognizing Christian Haynes' value. I think he is a clear second-round pick. For me, he's an early day two guy. But yeah, those are the offensive linemen I'm going to be really keying in on that I think the Jaguars could have significant interest in. But there's even more guys throughout this class that are going to potentially draw the interest of Trent Baalke, depending on how things play out, right? If the Jaguars keep Cam Robinson, Brandon Sheriff, or they address some positions on the offensive line in free agency, they might not look at it as immediate need, and so they might go in other directions early in the draft and then maybe be looking at guys later on. I think a Javon Foster out of Missouri is a guy who has very good length, has started a lot of football games. Somebody Trent Baalke might like. Christian Jones out of Texas, another guy that has very good length, started a lot of football games. So there are options out there for Trent Baalke that are beyond the players we've talked about today, but I have a feeling that they're going to have some needs along this offensive line that need to be addressed early in the 2024 NFL Draft. Really appreciate y'all tuning in. If you enjoy the content, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Y'all have a good one.